Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome to another episode of Oh Man, That's Awful. I am flying solo for the time being. I'm Kevin Corcoran, one of your co-hosts. Our other co-host, Carl Kozlowski, is having a self-inflicted cell phone crisis. He'll be here. Longtime listeners of the show will not be surprised. But we are joined here in the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in historic Koreatown with our guest this week, Dwayne Perkins.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Yeah, man, of course. Over there on the ones and twos, Dr. David Robinson.
Good to be here. Welcome,
thanks.
Dwayne.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Now, Kevin Corcoran, is that your last
that's
name?
right.
Solid.
Thank you.
There's like owns every building. You're not down with those? Are you down with those guys?
I'm so poor. Yeah.
Have you heard of those? Like, there's a big real estate. Maybe it's
No.
back east. That's a heavy name in real estate.
Oh, really?
Corcoran. Yeah.
So people can pronounce it.
right.
Perkins is easy. That one's in and out. But
Hey, you got a kid on the way. Maybe it's time to do a little Ancestry.com, see if you can get a piece of that Corcoran real estate
exactly.
empire.
Remember in Downton Abbey? Wow. Out the gate.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's see where this goes.
Well, the guy, Matthew, who was somehow looked down upon because he was a doctor. I didn't get that. But he, because of sexism and everything, he actually ended up being the heir to Downton Abbey. And he was like a distant family member. So,
Okay.
I mean,
there's
just-
hope.
Better to give it to a man from far away
a man
who
you don't
nobody
know.
knows
Exactly.
than
Than your
the
own
women
daughter,
who have
absolutely.
been. Yeah.
That's basically my entire retirement plan right now. Is
Right.
I'm banking really heavily on the estranged, distant relative who's come into money somehow.
I hope that's the case, man. I'm rooting for you.
Thanks.
Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
thanks a lot. Downton Abbey, the Kevin Corcoran story. That's a documentary of my life. Well, thanks for joining us. Why don't we just get right into it? Why don't you tell us, kind of how you got? I'll go through your credits first.
Yeah, I mean the theme of the show is we bring in people who generally from the world of entertainment who have some awful stories, horrible things that have happened to them along the way that may or may not have helped get them to where they are now.
Right.
We know you're one of those fascinating people, and Kevin, why don't you tell the listening audience what's so fascinating about Dwayne Perkins?
Dwayne Perkins is an accomplished comedian. You've been doing this for at least 20 years, right?
Yeah, at least.
You have a Netflix special, right?
Correct,
Called
yes.
Take Note.
Take note.
Everybody should.
And at least I got it and I was right under the window. So where we produced it, Netflix bought it. So it's definitely, on for the next month. So there's some urgency when you hear this. And they might pick it up for longer, but the original term of the deal ends next month. So go run get it and tell your people about it.
Hit pause on this episode.
Right.
Podcast will still be there.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll be
yes.
around.
One question though, just my ignorance. So is you said you got in just under the window? Is Netflix now just mainly doing self-produced, in-house
It
rather
appears
than?
it appears to be the case. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think it seems this is just the eye test. It seems like more and more things have the Netflix original stamp on it.
Right.
So maybe not, but it feels like I got in right before they started throwing around major money. And not that they were going to throw that major money to me, but
It would have been nice to be considered.
It's good when the timing works. Like I live in Highland Park. I moved there 9 years ago. The only thing I did wrong is I have a 1-bedroom condo and not a 2-bedroom.
Ah, yes.
That's what I could afford and what was available. But yeah, that place is like going bananas now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So timing, I have pretty good timing. Sometimes bad, but I'm always really close. I'm always just past the deadline or right before the deadline.
Well, your timing is good enough to get a Netflix special.
Right, exactly.
Doing something right. Where'd
Yes.
you record it?
Oh, here in L.A., in Los Angeles, in the Japanese American National Museum, JANM, they have a theater.
Oh.
And we did it in that theater. And I'm really, really proud of it. My writing partner, who I write like screenplays and stuff with, Koji Sakai, he worked there, had a strong connection with them. So we were able to secure that theater. And, it's so unique. And I don't know. It's hard to say like who's watching who, but I feel like I was, again, like I moved to Highland Park early. I feel like I was in a wave of specials that were intimate,
Right.
Not so intimate that it's at a comedy club because I like to have it be a little special.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is a theater. It's a lecture hall seating, and that's what makes it intimate. So it's straight up lecture hall seating. I am on a flat surface, and they were all up, and I'm like, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
That's awesome.
So that gave it a unique look, and I think really helped it.
I haven't been to the museum in a while, but I remember the architecture and design of the museum. I mean, just beautiful, a lot of like blonde wood and very open space.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so but basically the there's a little alley, and across the theater's not physically attached to the museum. It's a part of it, but it's across the little alley there.
Yeah,
and it was it was great. It was great.
I know I can think of a few comics, really successful headlining comics, who have done their specials in like massive like arenas and stuff.
Right.
And that might not necessarily be their milieu. That's like not necessarily where they cut their teeth, and their material doesn't necessarily play to the back of the room. And
that's exactly right.
You know.
Like, if you're like if you're Russell Peters, if you're Larry the Cable Guy, and you're doing these big venues, over time your act grows to be that, and you know what I mean. But to just step out of a 100-seater into a 2,000-seater, it takes some adjustment. So,
and if you're doing a bunch of sets at in the original room at the Comedy Store,
right, exactly,
it's just like a different feel a little bit.
Right. And Chappelle did one of his specials at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get why you would do a special at a comedy club, because it's like it's where you do it, right? So it's like really, it's like going on a safari as opposed to a zoo, right? Like seeing you in your natural habitat. But but it's just something not, and no disrespect to anyone who did that. I think it can be great. But then you lose the special aspect.
You do
right?
want it to be. It's a big night for you.
Right. You want it to be special, but you don't want it to be like Wembley Stadium. So you have to find.
Well, I think for a lot of people, and I mean, we're all comedians here, so we know the world. But for the civilians, I think there's still that element of, it's at a comedy club, so that lends it that professional cash. Like
that's true.
That's true. And I mean, we all know like bar shows versus club shows. Aside from you're not getting paid, for a lot of people, it's like it's just a comedy show at a bar in the valley. But some of those are great shows.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
and not to slam anyone, so I'm not going to mention names, but I used to run a bar show in Burbank, and then I was co-producing a coffee house show. Loved the venue, loved the owner. I don't want to do a coffee house show. I want people to be able to curse and say whatever's on their mind. It's like you can't offend the drinking people. Folks who are there for chamomile, easily offended maybe.
We've all had to tell punchlines over a smoothie being made, and it's really awful.
Absolutely. And the steam, it's like
the worst.
Oh yeah, but there, it's. I think there's a mentality among a lot of people, and from Evening at the Improv, from back when it was on premium cable to when it went to A&E, people in the Gen Pop, say, it's being done at a legitimate comedy venue, therefore it must be a legitimate comedian.
Yeah, definitely. I think certain comedy clubs have that cachet, like the Improv, used to have that cachet. Even the Ice House back in the day when they had the Rosie O'Donnell VH1 thing. I think it was Spotlight or something like that. So yeah, comedy club can work, but I guess I have to get into the shoe of the viewer, because from a comic's perspective, you think comedy club, you think drinks, and you think waitresses, just things that you deal with as part of the course, but not when you want to record something. You want it to be okay. Let's suspend the drinks. Let's suspend the wait staff for the time being. And I think obviously,
it's kind of like the jackhammer in the background here. In the right venue, it's like sure. But if we were a premium podcast, then we'd be like,
you are premium. But
it's not that we're not. They're building our new studios across the street. That's what it is. I've convinced myself it's happening.
Preparing for our big move to Libsyn.
Right. It's a big deal.
Yes. And so for my special, I'm so blessed that it was the perfect sort of mixture and meeting of intimate and still special, because it was still a theater, and it was I'm really happy with everything, the way it came out. And
curious. I've always been curious about that. Like, tell us about the day of the recording of the special, because that's a really cool thing.
Oh yeah, so much was going on, because actually the special, I had two projects going at once: the special, and then a movie I did with Koji that we wrote and I starred in, called Dying to Kill. So we probably should talk about that too.
Sure.
So the people, everyone I was working with on Dying to Kill, we thought, let's do a special and see if any money we make will raise money for the movie. So actually, I can't remember if we charged everyone, but the thought was to charge people, which is scary because you want to just have it be filled with people. So,
right.
I mean, it wasn't a massive fundraiser, but the day of the special, I have those people helping me, and we're getting names. We're collecting the names, and I'm just getting ready.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous, but thank God we did 2.
Oh, yeah.
I tell people, you do a special, you have to do 2 shows. Even if you do one to a completely empty audience.
Yeah.
Just to run it twice.
You need safety.
Yeah, and to record that as a safety, to have something to cut to. But for me, like, it starts before that with me doing a Indiegogo campaign. So imagine, to do an Indiegogo campaign, I raised, fairly decent amount. I still had to add something to it. And
did you use tickets for the show as a premium for those who donated? Or?
I don't think I did, because I don't think we had that tie-in yet. But that would have been perfect.
No,
we did. No, we did actually. We did. But so many people, we absolutely did. You're right. So many people who did contribute, they didn't live in L.A. though. Uh-huh. So the thing with them was, you'll get a copy of the DVD.
There you go.
So, and then because I really produced it myself, and then the distributor kind of jumped on board. I remember days up to it, we did the set dressing. Because it's lecture hall seating, and because of my act, I'm kind of professorial in a sense. So we went with a blackboard, had a blackboard behind me.
Oh, nice.
We went with a rug, and my director called me the other day, and he was mad. He's like, everyone's doing the rug now.
You're the rug guy.
Right, we had like a little throw rug. I'm standing on a throw rug.
Yeah.
It actually, it's really weird how, like, thinking back, it shouldn't have worked, but it did, right? Like, so we have a blackboard, I'm on a rug, and I got all this stuff the day before from like a casting prop house. So, a globe, just really
awesome.
And it's almost like, if you just saw what I got, you would have said, oh, are you like doing
a lecture series?
Yeah, are you doing Indiana Jones, like the first? Are you trying to recreate the first 5 minutes of Indiana Jones
with a TED talk,
right? Or a TED talk, right? And so, but something about getting the blackboard and writing your name on it, something about that just sort of makes it like, oh, this is really happening. And it's weird because I've been to other specials, and I don't remember mine being so. I went to a friend of mine's recently. It was great, but like on the way in, someone gave me a ribbon to put around my wrist, and then I took a few more steps, and I got another ribbon. Like, you can go into that room.
Oh.
Then I got another ribbon. I'm like, what? And all I remember, we had a desk and a list, So
yeah.
I mean, mine was already on Netflix, but I was thinking, if I had come to this one first, I would have thought like I wasn't doing it enough. I wasn't doing enough.
Right.
Yeah. But day of, I was pretty nervous. Did my set list. Made some changes in between shows. The very first show, I came out so nervous, I actually made a mistake and started over again.
Like right off the jump?
Right off the jump. But what's good is that, it's not a comedy club, right? So
no one's going to like you.
Yeah, even though I made the mistake, no one's going to see that mistake.
Yeah.
And I just said to the crowd, you know what, guys, I made a slight mistake. I'm going to start over.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of proud of myself that I did that.
Yeah, for sure.
And, it worked out really well. And mainly we used the second set mainly. And but it really just started with us picking a date. Then once you have a date, then everything kind of works out.
It gets real.
Yeah, it gets real,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it ended up exactly where I wanted it to end up. And I don't think I celebrate that enough because I'm just so busy doing other things. But to say I'm going to do a special and it's going to be on Netflix, so many guys try that, and it doesn't really happen that way.
Yeah.
So I was really fortunate.
That's not nothing.
Yeah,
because you've been on Conan before. I've
been on Conan a bunch.
Talk shows.
I've done a lot of late night TV and a lot of commercials and different things. So, the timing of it, like I think 6 months later, I'm not sure if they buy it because literally 6 months after that, they were giving this guy 40 million, this guy 60 million. So it was like a different thing happening,
Yeah.